Interview experience. Here's my case. My wife won the lottery in DV22. She is an Indian national with place of birth as Bahrain. She has her bachelor's in pharmacy. I am an Indian national with my place of birth being Saudi Arabia. I am a mechanical engineer with a bachelor's degree. We were engaged since 2019, but due to COVID, we didn't get married till late 2020. My brother, who's a legal permanent resident in the US, asked me to apply for DV since my place allows me to. I applied for myself, and took a chance and applied for my fiancée too in October 2020. On 8th of May 2021, when the results were out, I didn't win, but she did win with case number 22 as 12000. When the results were out, we were in Saudi as I had my employment there and she had just recently quit her job in Bahrain and moved in with me. We filled our DS-260 on May 12, 2021 and it took about 8 hours to do so. No mistakes. We just thought that since we had chargeability to Bahrain and since Bahrain is smaller than Saudi, we chose the Bahrain embassy on the first page of DS-260. Unfortunately, in July I had to leave Saudi with my employment contract terminated. We applied for unlocking of our DS-260, principal and derivative, in July, but only principal was unlocked in late August. Document request email came in on 1st September and we had all our documents ready by then. Up until now, I didn't know about his community. Documentarily qualified email came on October 17th, but with multiple unlock requests and us relocating to India and then Bahrain led to a second document request email on November 17th after submitting the DS-260 with updates. The very next day, November 18th, we got the second documentarily qualified email stating ready to be scheduled, and by this time we had moved to Bahrain and patiently waited for our turn. On March 23, 2022, we got our 2NL for an interview on 25th of May 2022. A full 2 months time to prepare. I spent a lot of my time on this very page for past experiences and following each and every question/story here. Any sort of clues for any curve balls that they might throw at us. We had got so many documents prepared, mandatory documents, Form I-134 for both. I know, it's an overkill, but on the old Form I-134 instructions it said each document for each individual. So just didn't leave room for errors, bank statements, educational certificates with newspaper cutouts, name change affidavits, wedding album, travel history with photos, visas, flight tickets and itinerary, passport copies of all family members of both families in case of Form DS 5535 and whatever that I could think of. The security guy asked us, "Why do you guys need all this?" We said, "Who knows, just don't want to be sorry later." He smiled and obliged. Interview date. Appointment time, 10 a.m. May 25, 2022. We reached at 9:15 a.m. and the guard turned us away. He asked us to come at 9:50 a.m. We tried again at 9:45 a.m., because we were anxious and didn't want to miss our window for whatever reason. He let us in this time and after several security checks we finally entered this hall with 4 windows and seating area. First window was marked as document submission. Second window was marked as payments. Third and fourth windows were unmarked. But there were 2 consular officers in each window, talking through a mic. There were a few people with us, so we waited our turn and headed to the first window. He took our documents and the payment as well. The person at the second window was also doing the same to expedite the entire process. We waited to be called to another window and watched another person have his interview. The COs seemed very friendly and extremely fluent in the local language Arabic. Extremely fluent with the local accent as well, which was impressive. 10:40 a.m. A lady called my wife's name. She was very sweet and friendly. And she kept punching her keyboard with information as she asked us questions, probably making note of everything. The interview. Consular officer started, "Okay, everything seems to be in order. I'll just ask a few questions. I have your documents. Everything looks good and already verified. Here's your originals. Looking at my wife. What is your occupation and what do you plan to do in USA?" My wife answered, "I am a pharmacist with my bachelor's in it. I intend on working there once I get the necessary permits." Consular officer asked, "Will you have to do your master's there to work?" My wife, looking confused, answered, "Not really. Each state has its own licensing procedure and there's a federal licensing program. If I can get my license, I should be able to work anywhere as a pharmacist." Consular officer said, "All right. That sounds great." Typing her keyboard for a few minutes. "So you guys got married after you won the DV lottery or did you know each other before?" I answered, "Not really. We got engaged in 2019. But COVID, so everything went on hold. We applied for DV individually in October 2020, but got married in December 2020. Results were out in May 2021. Consular officer said, right. Yeah. That's fine then. Everything checks out. Typing her keyboard again. So what have you studied and where do you work? I answered, I have my bachelor's in mechanical engineering and I used to work in Saudi Arabia till last July in a chemical manufacturing plant. Consular officer said, right. So what do you plan to do in USA? I answered, oh, the job market in USA is pretty good for my line of work. Lots of opportunities in Texas and Louisiana. Typing some more. Consular officer asked, but you've mentioned Michigan here. Why have you written that? My wife and I looked at each other and smiled in unison and excitement, and my wife said, his brother is there. Consular officer smiled and said, oh, that's nice. Where does he work and what's his visa status? I answered, he works for X and he is on his H-1B. Consular officer said, all right. And you've said you will stay in X? I answered, yeah. That's right. He is there and initially we plan on moving there. Once we have some of our stuff sorted, we'll move wherever that is convenient or job requires, I guess. Typing, typing, typing. She smiled and at this point became a little casual with us. I actually spent a few years there in X, Michigan as well a few years ago. Beautiful place. We were surprised to see her share that. Then as she was typing she said, so are you excited to move to the US? My wife and I shared a look and smiled and said, yes. Can't wait. She smiled and continued typing. We were relaxed at this point and just smiling ear to ear. Consular officer said, I'm sorry. You said chemical manufacturing. Can you explain what your company does? When we heard sorry, my heart just sank. But I composed myself and answered, I used to work there and it's a proper petrochemical company listed in the Saudi Arabian stock market. They make methanol-based products. She seemed content and kept typing some more. After a long pause, she apologized for taking this long and said okay. Everything looks in place. We will be keeping your passports and your documents. You might hear from the embassy in 2 weeks' time with your visa printed in it. Do not quit your job yet. Do not sell your property yet. Thank you and have a good day. We were out at 10:55 a.m. The actual interview lasted only 15 minutes with most of it being the documenting our responses. May 31st we received emails stating passports were ready for collection. June 1st, we collected our stamped passports. June 10th, we entered the United States of America. June 21st, Social Security number came in the mail. July 2nd, green cards came in the mail. We celebrated getting the green cards by watching the fireworks for 4th of July last night. I have been eagerly waiting for the last step to post here and share my story. I'm sorry if there's way more information out there, but I thought it might help someone somewhere sometime. My humble suggestions to each and every one pursuing their DV dream would be patient, be prepared and be yourself. Don't lie.